What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel, everybody. So today's video, I figured I would start a little mini series that I want to do. As you can tell by the title, this series is going to be how to ride a motorcycle. And we're going to start from the very basics and work our way up. So this video, if you know like the very basics to a bike, you know what a clutch is, how a clutch works, where the front brake is, where the back brake is, what the gears do, how to shift, things like that. If you know all that, then this video isn't for you. I mean, go ahead and watch it. I ain't gonna tell you not to watch it, but just saying, this is going over the very basics. So say you're, you know, 12, 13, 14, you like my videos, you want to get a motorcycle, because I was there too, but you never had one before. Or you want to get a dirt bike and you never had one before, this video is for you guys. Or if you're, you know, 16, 17, 18 and you've never had one before and you want to get one, this video is for you too. With this series, I was hoping to start off with the very basics and then, you know, move up more and move up more. So the very basics is going to be, you know, how the clutch works, where the brakes are, how to shift, how the gears work, the gearing pattern, when to be in what gear, things like that. That's what this video is going to be about. And then once, you know, you guys learn how to do that, we'll progress more, learn more advanced things, and eventually it'll turn into, you know, wheelies and fun things. But you got to start somewhere, and I don't know, I feel like this series would be helpful for some people. So not only do I want to make fun videos and entertain people, but I want to help people too, teach people, things like that. So yeah. Alright, so let's begin. We are going to go absolute basics here, guys. Like, from the very beginning, what to first do to even, you know, mount the bike, and then we will progress. When you first get your bike, or if you're going to the dealership and sitting on bikes, you may not think that there's a proper side to get on the bike or a proper way to mount the bike, but there is. So hear me out. So when the bike's on its kickstand, it's leaning. Obviously, it's leaning on its kickstand. So the bike is tilted this way. So what you're not going to do is you're not going to get on the opposite side because you have to lean way over. What you're going to do is the kickstand side, the bike's already leaning to you. It's angled towards you. So you're going to swing your right leg up and over the bike and then pick the bike up. And when you pick the bike up, you want to grab the front brake just to make sure it doesn't roll. I sometimes forget that, but that's what you do. So reach up, grab the bars, grab the front brake. Swing your right leg over, and then pick the bike up. Now you're on the bike. Once you've successfully mounted the bike, the best thing to do is to put your right foot on it and grab the back brake. So if you ever come to a stop on a hill or basically anywhere, your left foot always goes down. Bike goes in first, left foot goes down, you hold the clutch in, back brake. So that is, you know, proper bike mounting. So now that you've properly mounted the bike, let's discuss the hand controls. So starting from the left and going to the right, you have your high beam and low beam switch. So what this does is high beam and low beam. I mean, you flip that up, your high beam comes on, you get a blue light on the dash. You see that blue light on the dash, that means your high beam is on. Next, you have your turn signals. Now, motorcycle turn signals aren't like car turn signals, where you turn it on and you make your turn, you have to physically shut it off. Most bikes, they are push to cancel. So say I turn it to the left, I have to press this in and cancel it. Say I turn it to the right, still I have to push this in and cancel it. Whereas in a car, once you make your turn, as the wheel's going back, you hear it click and it shuts off the turn signal for you. On a bike, you have to physically shut it off. So if you ever see someone on a bike driving around going for miles with their turn signal on, that's why, because they forgot to shut it off. And I've done that plenty of times. I never used to when I first started, but for some reason, more recently, I've been doing it, and yeah, I don't know why, but it makes you look silly to anybody else who knows a thing or two about bikes, who knows you have to shut that off. It just makes you look silly. And then below your turn signals is your horn. I have a lovely horn. So that is your left side hand controls. For your left side lever, you have your clutch, and we'll get into that in a little bit. On your right side, you have your kill switch, which if the bike is running, this shuts it off, but it doesn't shut off all your electronics and lights. All it does is kill the engine. So if I start my bike, and I push in my kill switch, the bike shuts off. But the lights on the dash and my headlight and my tail light, everything still stays on. If I start my bike now and I turn it off by my key, everything goes out. You saw me push this button. That's the starter button. You can tell because it's got a little rotating circle with an arrow and a lightning bolt in it, which basically just starts the engine. For the lever on this side, you have your front brake. So on a motorcycle, your front brake for your front tire and your rear brake for your rear tire are completely separate. In a car, you just have one brake pedal and then you have your handbrake or your e-brake. On a bike, you have your front brake, which is on your hand, and down on your foot, you have your rear brake, which is a pedal. And finally on the left side, you have your throttle. So unlike a car where your throttle is a pedal, on a bike, you twist your wrist and the bike goes. Four-wheelers and snowmobiles and jet skis, they have a thumb throttle where you push, your hand stays still and you push with your thumb. Bikes, they have a twist throttle where the entire grip twists. And yeah, so for your foot controls, like I just said, you have your rear brake right here. So that engages the brake on your back tire. If you don't have ABS, like the DRZ, and you jam on this, your back tire is just going to slide because it will lock up. So if you have a bike with ABS, you don't really have to worry about that, but that's a whole nother topic. And then on the left side, you have your shift lever. That is how you change gears on the bike. So let's talk about that. The gearing pattern. For a motorcycle, right now I'm in first. There's no green light on the dash. I'm in first. What a bike does, it's first, then neutral, then second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth if you have sixth. I only have 5. So right now I'm in first. There's no light on, and I push down. If I go halfway up, the light comes on, I'm in neutral. I don't need to push in my clutch. I can start it. The bike won't go anywhere. I can roll it. It's fine. If I go up again, now I'm in second. And I can just keep going up. Now I'm in third. Now I'm in second. And now I'm in first. So with a bike, neutral is halfway in between first and second. So you have to just gently push the shifter up and it slips into neutral. If you push it up too hard, you're going to go right into second. I'll get down a little closer and show you guys. So right now I'm in first. If I go up just barely, I'm in neutral. If I go up again, I'm in second. If I go up again, I'm in third. Back down into second. Back down into first. But now I'm in second because I skipped neutral. You can also go into neutral from second. But instead of a half click up, it's just a little half click down. And now I'm back in neutral. Some bikes are harder to get into neutral than others. It just depends on the engine size, the compression, all those things. Plus older bikes, sometimes harder. It gets wore out and stuff. So now that we have the basics down and you guys know where all the controls are and what does what, let's talk about starting the bike. So after you've mounted the bike, you go to start the bike. First thing you're going to want to do is pull in the clutch. Now clutch, for those of you who don't know what a clutch is, first let me explain how they work. So a clutch, basically what a clutch does is it disengages power to the back wheel. Right in here, there's clutch plates. And the way that those work is when you pull the clutch in, the plates separate. One of them spins and one of them stays. One of them goes to the power from the engine, one of them goes to your back tire. You pull the clutch in, it disengages those discs. Therefore, there's no power going to the back tire and your engine won't stall. This is what a stall looks like. See how it bucks forwards? When you let the clutch out, if you're in gear and you let the clutch out, the bike's going to buck forwards and then it's going to shut off. That's a stall. And when that happens, that means that those plates join together, but there was nowhere for the power to go because the bike was still sitting still. So that's what a stall looks like. So if that happens, everyone does it. I wouldn't even worry about it. When you first learn, everyone stalls. It's no biggie. So when you're in neutral, you're already disengaging power to the back wheel. So you can roll freely when the bike is in neutral. Now, if I were to put the bike in first gear, I can't roll freely. It stops because the engine isn't turning over and the back tire is engaged to the engine and it can't go anywhere. The clutch is kind of like that. People sometimes refer to the clutch as being in neutral. It kind of is, because if the bike's in gear right now and I pull the clutch in, I can roll it freely. I can move it as much as I want. But the only difference is in neutral, you can let the clutch out and the bike won't stall and you can roll it freely. If it's in gear and you pull the clutch in, you're not in neutral. So that's why I prefer not to say it like that, because you're not in neutral. You just have the clutch in, power is disengaged to the rear wheel, but you're still in gear. When you're in neutral, you're not in a gear. The gearbox is disengaged and the gearbox is spinning, but there's no power getting to anything. So that's a little info on the clutch for you. So you should have a good understanding of the clutch now. When you go to start the bike, you want to be in neutral. Pull in your clutch just as a safety thing, just in case. Make sure your neutral light is on, make sure your kill switch is out, and turn your key on. Hit the starter button, and your bike's good to go. So once you have your bike started, the next step would be making sure you have your hand on the clutch and putting the bike in gear. Now that you have the bike in gear, you can't let the clutch out or else you're gonna stall. So once you have the bike in gear, you have your clutch in, let's talk about what you do next. So if you just go to let the clutch out to go, you stall, like what I showed you earlier, like this, you stall. So what if you let the clutch out slowly? You know, you let the clutch out slowly. I still stalled, but I was moving, so the engine had a spot for its power to go. Why did I still stall? The engine was able to deliver the power to the back tire, and the back tire was moving, so you'd think that meant that the bike could go. But the thing is the RPMs got too low. That's another thing you have to take into consideration, is the RPMs. When you go on a bike or a manual car, it's the same thing. You have to let the clutch out slow. First of all, you let the clutch out nice and slow so that the plates can nicely meet and go. But you also have to be on the throttle too. When you go to let the clutch out, listen. You can hear the RPMs dropping, and that's another way you can stall, is your RPMs get too low, the bike's just gonna cut out. So what you have to do is you have to be on the throttle, and you have to give the bike more gas, which brings the RPMs up so you don't stall. Like I just showed you, you let the clutch out slow and you don't give it gas, you're gonna get a few feet and then it's gonna die. But if you give it gas and you let the clutch out, you're gonna roll. And then you come to a stop. So once you're able to roll on the bike, that's when you're able to start going. So you let the clutch out, bike starts rolling. Hang on. Let me do this in the parking lot. There we go. You let the clutch out, give it a little gas, bike starts rolling, you put your right foot up and on the bike. And there you go, you're rolling. What now? Well, you come to a stop. And when you come to a stop, make sure you pull the clutch in, or else you're gonna stall. Because there will be nowhere for the power to go if you're grabbing the brakes and coming to a stop. You're gonna stall. So you have to pull the clutch in when you come to a stop too. Keep that in mind. You let the clutch out, give it gas, you start rolling. Right now you're in first gear. Never start in anything but first gear. If you're coming from a dead stop, never start in anything except first gear. So now you're rolling. You pick up speed. The engine RPMs climb. What now? You have to shift into the next gear. So the engine RPM start to climb. In a shift, you let off the throttle, the clutch goes in. You press up on the shift lever, clutch goes back out, and the throttle, you get back on it. And now you're in second. A good way to think about the clutch and the throttle is they're like teeter-totters. Clutch goes in, throttle goes off. Clutch goes out, you get on the throttle. So look at, clutch goes out, you get on the throttle. Clutch goes in, you get off the throttle. That's basically how to work a clutch. And shifting from gear to gear, everything is the same. So I'm in first right now, off the throttle, clutch goes in, shift lever goes up, now I'm in second. Now I'm rolling in second. And once the engine RPMs get high enough, clutch goes in, throttle goes off, shift lever goes up, and now I'm in third. So now you know how to shift from gear to gear, but I didn't really explain what the gears do. First gear, compared to sixth gear, they're completely different. Sixth, fifth, whatever your bike has. Mine has 5, my F4i has 6. It just depends on what the bike has. I'm in first gear right now. If you recall from earlier when I said you can only start from a stop in first gear, that is because first gear has the most torque, but it has the lowest top speed. So if I'm in first gear, and I get on the throttle and I start doing 30 miles an hour, I'm basically pinned, revving the crap out of my bike. If I'm in sixth gear and I'm trying to roll from a stop, I'm just gonna bog and I'm gonna die every single time, because sixth gear is the least torqueiest, I don't know if that's a word, but sixth gear is the least torqueiest gear. Sixth gear has the highest top speed but the lowest torque. First gear has the lowest top speed and the highest torque. And as you climb through the gears from first to second to third to fourth, as the gears get higher, your torque gets lower and your top speed gets higher. So as you build in speed, you also have to progress through the gears to maintain steady engine RPM and to build speed. I'm in second right now, ready? So if I push down, I'm in neutral. If I push up, that makes me in second. If I go to let the clutch out, it's gonna... I was on the throttle, but the bike still bogged and died. But now if I put the bike in first, and I start it, and I do the same thing. A little bit of throttle, let the clutch out, it's gonna roll nice and smooth. It's because first gear has the most torque. So if I get on the throttle right now, I was only doing 30 miles an hour, but my bike sounded like it was gonna explode. That's because first gear has the lowest top speed. If I do that again, but I shift up, I'm in third right now, and I'm doing 30, and the bike did not sound like it was gonna explode. That is why it is important to shift and know what gear to be in at what speed. Don't flame me in the comments if I forgot something. I apologize. I'm not too good at these talking videos, if you haven't noticed. I don't do very many of them. Most of the videos I do are me just going out, being an idiot and having fun. So that's really... See, I do it sometimes. I leave my turn signal on. So I mean, that's really all that I can think of right now. I'm pretty sure I covered everything for like complete beginner, step by step. That's pretty much it. If I forgot something, let me know down in the comments, and I apologize for forgetting it. I don't think I did, and I hope I didn't, but just in case. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it was useful, and I hope you guys learned something. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. You cashed in on